Hey guys, well, I haven't done a video in a while, mainly because I've been really busy these past month or so. But I actually came up with a new video idea yesterday and thought I'd do it. Well, as you may know, I'm a huge horror fan. I mean, watch horror movies all the time. I like a lot of horror movies. I even like ones that have gotten like bad response because like over the years horror movies have been critically panned. It's like, they've gotten like cult fan bases over the years, 80s, 90s, a lot of that stuff. So I thought of this idea that I'm going to name some horror movies that I like but everybody hates. And I even listed them on this list. I'm not going to show DVDs or Blu-rays because there are certain ones on this list that I don't have or are not out yet. And before I read this, I just want to say, this is just my opinion, and don't hate me for liking some of these movies, because I do know that there are a few of these that are really hated. So just don't hate me for liking this. This is my opinion, and I can be entitled to my own opinion. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Number 15, Chernobyl Diaries. I actually liked that movie when I first saw it. Saw it on its first day in the theater, and I actually liked it because I liked the atmosphere of the movie, the darkness. It was actually pretty creepy that way. I also liked the way it was filmed too. Like it was filmed like sort of like found footage-ish, or like some kind of documentary-ish. Like there were times it was filmed through video camera, but there was times it was filmed like through a real movie camera. But the style was actually pretty good because it was like filmed the same way as District 9. That was pretty good. I will admit, of course, there were like horror cliches in it. But, heck, a lot of movies I like have those cliches in it. And I will also admit I wasn't a fan of the ending. But I'm hoping that the alternate ending that's going to be on the Blu-ray and DVD is better. Okay, number 14, Mirrors. I mean, heck, I actually did like it for what it was. I mean, can't really see why people don't like that one, but it could be because, I'll admit there were some like there were just some cheesy CGI things in it. But I just liked Kiefer Sutherland's performance. I also like the whole concept that bad things will happen. Like if you like look through the mirror, like you'll see like some sort of, I don't know, like you saw dead people or like people get killed like by their reflection from the mirrors. I just like that whole thing. Okay, moving on. Number 13, Return to Sleepaway Camp. Now, of course, you know I'm a huge Sleepaway Camp fan, and Return to Sleepaway Camp was actually my first review. I actually did like Return to Sleepaway Camp. I liked it more than the other Sleepaway Camp sequels, and I've seen like a lot of people's reviews saying they didn't like Return to Sleepaway Camp, but I did see just a couple people that did like it, of course. I mean, because I just liked it because it felt more like the first Sleepaway Camp. Like it felt like it was a proper sequel, because 2 and 3 were more comedies. This one was more taken serious. Okay, I will admit there were like just a little bit of bad CGI in it, but I did like just some of the CGI in it. And I will admit also like there were some bad acting in it, but heck, it was sort of like the 80s, because there were some like 80s horror movies that had bad acting in it, but I liked them. Okay, and also I'm friends with Robert Hiltzik, you know that already. Okay, anyway. Number 12, Survival of the Dead. Okay, so I actually am a fan of George A. Romero's zombie movies. I like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Those are classics. I even like Land of the Dead, and Diary of the Dead was pretty decent. Not my favorite, but it was decent. And Survival of the Dead, I'll admit that it was a little corny at points, but there was something different for a change, like how you saw in some other the other George A. Romero zombie movies, that even though they are connected, but they don't 100% feel like they're connected because they have different characters, no references. But this one actually had a character from Diary of the Dead in it, and there were references in it. And I also liked some of the stuff, like there was like feuding families and them trying to get the zombies to eat animals, or a horse technically. It wasn't working at first. I also did like some of the zombies getting their heads blown up and whatnot. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Number 11, Fright Night Part 2. Now, I'm going to admit myself, when I first saw Fright Night Part 2, I didn't care for it at first, but then as time went on, it grew on me. And then when I watched it for a second time, I saw how, like, fun and underrated it was. I mean, of course, it's not a sequel that's better than the first one. The first one's a really good vampire movie. The second one I thought was a worthy sequel after viewing it a second time. And also, there were times it was pretty funny, too. Because, heck, even the first one, there were times it was pretty funny as well. I also liked some of the vampire effects, some of the vampire mutilation scenes. I also liked the connection to the first one, and also I was glad that William Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall returned. Both of them were good to see again. I also preferred it over the Fright Night remake, even though I did like the Fright Night remake, but I did like Fright Night Part 2 more, I'm going to admit that. And moving on, number 10, The Fly 2. Okay, I know there's hate for that one, but I'll admit, that there were, some story aspects I didn't really care for. I mean, I thought it would have been better if maybe, the main character didn't know that he was the Fly, for the whole time, because I thought maybe it would have been cool, maybe if he, gets to, a certain age and he, finds out, that he was born with, the Fly gene. I think that would have been better that way. But I also really liked the cool fly action towards the end of the movie. The visual effects was something that really had going for it. Both the gore, special effects, the fly animatronics were all really good. Yeah, so overall it was still, fun to watch. Number 9, Jason X. Okay, now I could see why that one gets some criticism, but I mean, I saw that when it was in the theater back in 2002. I was only 13 at the time, and I was really getting into horror movies at the time. And it was the first Jason movie I saw in the theaters. I later on saw Freddy vs. Jason and the remake of Friday the 13th. And I just really enjoyed Jason X for what it was, because I just thought it was pretty silly. A movie so bad it's good. So it was just overall really fun. And also I did meet Kane Hodder back in February, so it was really cool. Okay, moving on, number 8, The Rage Carrie 2. Okay, so I do know that it's criticized for feeling like a remake of the original Carrie. I mean, I will admit there were some elements, of course, that were similar, but I just liked it for the whole telekinetic action at the end of the movie, and I like some of the people's mutilations. There was this girl that gets her glasses blown into her eyes, and what was another one? Oh yeah, there was also this guy gets a spear right to his area, we'll just say, and I just liked when she set the place on fire, all that stuff. Also the girl from the first one, Susan Snell, she returns in it, so I liked seeing that. So it had a returning character, at least, even if it's just one character. Alright, moving on. Number 7, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. Yes, I actually liked that movie because when I first saw the first one, I was pretty disappointed with the first one, maybe because it was PG-13, and I thought the action, the Aliens Predator fights were pretty short, and this one I actually preferred over it because it was what I wanted from the first one, but didn't get, and I had better aliens and predators fighting, and also it continued where the first one ended, which I liked. That's one of the reasons why I liked Halloween 2. And also this one was rated R, so there were some gore effects that I thought were pretty cool. Guy getting alien acid blood into his face, guy getting his arm melted off. And I thought the main fight between the Predator and the Predalien was really cool, but I thought it was just a little too short, I'm gonna admit. But also I did like how they paid tribute to the second Aliens and the first Predator, which are my favorite ones in the series. Okay. I also know people bashed it for like the characters being like just young looking or like TV actors, but heck, I didn't really care for that because heck, you don't need like big strong guys for these roles because like it could be realistic in that way. It shows that not everyone in that world is big muscle guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sigourney Weaver. Okay, and I think that's all I gotta say. Moving on. Number 6, Night of the Living Dead 3D. I will admit, of course, that one was a little cheesy, but I still had fun watching it. I still liked seeing Sid Haig beating zombies with a shovel. I remember he shoved this shovel in this zombie's mouth. And also, I did like the 3D was actually pretty good, even though it was the red and blue 3D, and it did give you a headache. Yeah, so it was just overall a fun movie. Number 5, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Now I know the one has gotten some critically panned for the fact that the first about like 45 minutes of the movie was just rehashing the first one, just footage from the first one. So like we have our main characters telling the story of the first one. And also it got critically panned for the bad acting, but the bad acting is what made this movie really fun, made it memorable. Because Eric Freeman's really bad acting made this movie like just worth seeing, especially his famous garbage day scene. I mean, I get a kick out of seeing that scene all the time. I mean, I've watched it on YouTube plenty of times, watched it on the movie plenty of times. I've quoted that scene plenty of times as well. So, heck, I even know that thousands of people just know that for that scene, they just saw that scene of the movie, they didn't see the whole scene. Yeah, so I thought it was just so bad, it was good. so I did actually like it. Okay, number 4, Piranha 3 Double D, or as I like to say, Piranha 3 DD. Now, I saw this movie in the theater, it had a limited release, a small limited release in the theater, and me and my friends had to take 3 trains to see this movie in the theater, and in my opinion it was worth it. I mean, of course, like I will admit there were times where it was just plain out silly, wasn't taken serious, because the first one did have its serious moments, but it was also funny too. And heck, the first one was like obviously like Jaws ripoff kind of thing, and this one I see is like Jaws 3 ripoff kind of material. Yeah, so and I thought it was like so bad it was good. Like it was just some scenes that are just really funny, really silly to watch, just overall enjoyable. Okay, number 3, Lost Boys: The Tribe. Now this is a movie I can also see why people don't like this one, because it was like basically just a remake of the first movie, and that's understandable. It's understandable. It's a remake of the first one. But the reason why I liked it was because Corey Feldman had a little more screen time than he did in the first one. Even though the first one is a better movie overall, and also it was just cool to see him back in this series as Edgar Frog, older of course, since he was about 15 when they filmed the first one. And it was just cool seeing him fighting vampires again. And I like the scene where he fires the holy water balloon at the one vampire exploding his head. I also like the scene where the vampire gets some sort of jackhammer to his heart, gets impaled. Yeah, and also I did like Corey Feldman's first scene, him saying, "I'm Edgar Frog, surfboard shaper and vampire hunter." And of course they made a third one after this, Lost Boys the Thirst, which was a better sequel overall. And I do hope that they make a 4th one. Because heck, in the 4th one they'd have werewolves in it. So, let's just have my fingers crossed for a 4th one. Okay. And number 2, Hellraiser Revelations. Yes, Hellraiser Revelations, because I did a review on this one a while ago, and I did get some people not liking my review for giving it a good review, and some people actually did like my review for doing a good job at my review. And of course, this movie I know was critically panned because Doug Bradley doesn't play Pinhead in it, or because of some bad acting in it, or because it looked pretty cheaply done. But it was only made because Dimension had to make it so, because if they didn't make it, they would have lost the rights to the Hellraiser series, because they're trying to make a Hellraiser remake. I mean, of course, I will say that there was some bad acting in it, but I did think that some of the acting was actually pretty good for what it was. Like, it seemed like they were actually trying at least. And also the visual effects is something that actually got me, but Victor Garcia, the director, is a visual effects artist, so his visual effects are always really good. And the actor who played Pinhead, I thought he was okay. He was no Doug Bradley, but overall he was like, you know, he was okay for what he was. Okay, and number one. This one is a really badly hated movie. So this is something you gotta hold on to your seats for, because it's something I actually really like. But I've heard hundreds, maybe even, could be even thousands of people hating this movie. Okay, so this is something I like, but everybody hates. Here we go, number one. Hold on to your seats. The Devil Inside. Yes, I liked The Devil Inside. But I liked that movie because I like found footage horror movies. I like the Blair Witch Project. I like Paranormal Activity. I like The Last Exorcism. So I like this movie because it was rated R, because like movies like The Last Exorcism, even though that's a better movie, it was PG-13 and this one was rated R, so there was able to like show gore in it. Because I'm not normally a big fan of PG-13 horror movies. And also the exorcism scenes I also thought were just really well done. And of course, I know it got critically planned for its flawed ending. I will admit myself that I did not like the ending. It's sort of like, you know, it's kind of like with Chernobyl Diaries. I didn't really like the ending of that one either. Like I just mentioned, I didn't like the ending of that one either. But I will admit The Devil Inside had a worse ending, and it's an ending where like you say, like, what? How you end right over there? Because it was really anticlimactic, and it felt like they just ran out of money and just ended the movie. But it's like, you know, I've also seen Sean C. Phillips, Cool Duder, on YouTube saying that like, you know, what more could you do with that ending? Which he has a point there, I'm going to admit. And also another friend of mine said the same thing, like, what more could you do with that ending? And I think that's basically about it. And just to, you know, I don't like every horror movie I see, because I'm going to name some horror movies that I hate just right now. I mean, like, a movie I hate was Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2. Like, I hated that movie from the first time I saw it, but I know that has its fan base, I don't know why. I also hated Friday the 13th Part 5, because there was no Jason in that one. How can you make a Friday the 13th movie about Jason? And there's also the remake of Psycho, which I hated, because like what's the point in making that when you're just making the same movie all over again? There was also Halloween 3. Didn't really like that one. I also didn't really like Halloween Resurrections. I still thought that one was just pretty dumb, and the way they brought back Michael, and that was just pretty dumb as well. That he just knocked out a paramedic and switched clothes with him. Yeah, that's just dumb. All right, so, and I think that just wraps it all up, and I guess I'll see you guys later. All right.